Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome along to Homestead Miami Speedway here for round number, can't quite see what number it is, but we are here at Homestead Miami Speedway for the Citrus 400 at Homestead Miami Speedway. I'm Billy Hickey. Welcome along to Simshed Broadcasting. I will be your commentator for tonight, and alongside me, JP Courier. You got a copy, JP?
Copy there, Billy. How are you this evening?
Very well, thank you. Well, of course, last week was pretty action-packed, and I suspect that this one's going to be just as good. We're approximately 27 miles to the southwest of Miami at Homestead, Miami, right next to the township of Homestead, and we are racing here on this. Well, how would you say it's a tricky little oval. There's our weather, our track facts for tonight. We've got 3K winds there, sort of patchy cloud there. There's a wee bit of humidity, and of course it looks about 26 degrees there. Can't quite see that one, but yeah. So the track length, I think we're just under a mile or just over a mile perhaps, and of course Homestead Miami, very fast track, very quick. Tyre wear certainly going to be a factor, but it's not overly going to be race ending like it was at Auto Club last week. JP, you've probably done some miles around here as well, mate. What do you think of the track?
It's actually been a while since I've done some miles here, but look, I quite like this kind of track. I don't like the smaller circuits. Yeah, look, I like it. I'm not sure what the tyre degradation is going to be like. It looks like it's later on in the day, so they'll be certainly having a cooler track, so they might have their tyres lasting a little longer.
Absolutely right. I think it's going to be a wee bit easier as the night goes on because the track is going to get cooler as the night goes on, and I think as it rubbers in, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier as well. So we'll move on to our track notes, brought to you by Short Shift Sim Racing Magazine. And there you go, 2.414 kilometers in length. We're running 166 laps tonight, just over 400 Ks, 400.72 kilometers. You're restricted to 80% tonight, and we're looking at about 2-3 pit stops. I'd say if there's no yellows, you definitely pull that off in 2, but 3 is probably the magic number. Well, I would definitely count on some safety cars. Fuel burn 1.2 litres per lap, and of course you've got a 4-set tyre limit as well. Of course, today, 26th of June 2021, race start is 7:30 in the evening, or 19:30 hours in the game. And of course, air temp 22 degrees, so it's a wee bit cool, and the track temp is 28, so that's a bit cool as well. And as we talked, the wind speed 3Ks going in a northeaster direction, so heading up towards Miami is the wind. And that is our track notes for tonight. Let's have a quick look at the championship standings after last week. Was a very interesting race at Auto Club Speedway. We'll head on to the championship standings there once JP manages to figure out where they are. A little technical difficulty by the sounds of it in the background there, but you can see everyone floating around for practice in the background there, so the track notes will pull away there. There we go, there's our championship points. So Darren McKenzie remains on top with 556 points, and then we go back to David Durand, 459 points, so still almost a 100-point gap there. Then we got Paul Jackson on 442, Dylan Davies 427, Stephen Williams on 405, Joshua Carroll Walden on 403, Barry Neal 373, he was last week's winner. Adam Ariel 354, and then we got Ruben Phelps on 350, and Mark Johansson on 341. As we flip the page, we got Scott McClintock, Greg Spencer, Tristan Koch, Nigel Payton, Jamie Nankervis, Reese May, Mark Smith, Kobe Jordan, Kay Donnelly, Nathan Legg. And flicking through the pages again, we have got Matt Payton, Hamish Gallagher, Raymond Yeager, Michael Skurlock, Michael Schroeder, Perry Anastakis, Brad Ellison, Dave Douglas, Gary Wellman, Derek Jacobs. And then 31 through 40, we will see Will Yesberg, Daniel Aguilera-Bates, Christopher Tomlin, Devon Stove, Tony Gagliardi, Reese Belitho, Terry Marwood, Troy Davidson, Michael Shaw and Sean King rounding out your 40 drivers there. So, see if we can get our timing tower up for practice. We're not too far away from practice finishing there. We've got about 4 minutes, and it looks like Gallagher's on top there with a 32.7, and on screen at the moment is David Durand in the 24, loving that throwback Jeff Gordon scheme there as he rolls down the back straight. That DuPont scheme looks absolutely fantastic. Brad Ellison, interestingly enough, is sitting in third place with a 32.8. Looks like we've only got about 18 cars tonight, so a little bit of a low turnout there. As we look at also, we've got, I think that's Dylan Davies in fourth place as well on a 32.86, matching Mark Smith in the 7, who's in fifth. Ruben Phelps in sixth place there, Michael Schroeder in seventh, and then we've got McClintock in eighth, Will Yesberg ninth, and Port Jackson is in 10th. And we've of course got the 88 there in 11th place. So, 3 minutes to go here for practice. There's Scott McClintock on screen there, and a very nice looking car that he's got there. I think it was Paul Jackson spun up on the infield. That Napa Auto Parts number 16 Snafu Racing car looks absolutely fantastic. And I haven't seen Mark Johansson pop his head in as yet in terms of racing. I know that he's in the Discord, but I can't. Oh, he is on the timing screen there. So he's sitting in 17th place on a 33.33. And there we go. That makes life a little bit easier. Adam Ariel sitting down there on a 33.37 as well. So this is going to be really tight tonight, JP. I think it's a very, how would you say, interesting track. So so it's going to be cool to see what these guys can do, and whether there's going to be many cautions either.
Yeah, look, we've got we don't have a big field, but we certainly do have a lot of quality out there tonight. So I think we're going to see still a lot of close racing. It will be very interesting to see how the cautions pop up. I'm going to draw a line in the sand and say there will be cautions, a high percentage of that. And Mark Johansson's just come out on track as well. And got to say, I really like the livery on these cars. Great to see Mark and Scott every week. They seem to be coming up with a new version of their livery.
Absolutely right, and they look absolutely striking. And I'm actually have been in talks with them as of late to consider running as a satellite them or as a wild card at one of the races coming up. I'm not sure which ones as yet, but since I've sort of taken a step back from racing, I think I'll make a wee bit of a comeback with them at some stage. So we'll see what happens there. We've got just over a minute worth of practice remaining, and there's still Gallagher on top with a 32.7, and Durand 32.8, and then Smith with another 32.8. He's about 2/10 behind Durand, so very tight at the top by the looks of it. That top five covered by about maybe a tenth ish. Yeah, covered by about a tenth there, and the top 10 covered by probably about 4/10 as well. So it's very close. It's always tight at the top at these races, and especially at a track like this where there's not a lot in it. And of course, it gets just that little bit more violent when you get to the likes of Daytona and Talladega, the super speedways, is where it gets really, really tight, and it comes down to the type of line that you run. Whereas these, it can sort of come down to where and if you brake and where you turn in and what line you run and all that sort of jazz, and when you're getting back on the gas and all that kind of stuff. So it is a very different sort of a track as we look at Brad Ellison on screen, and bit of a shame about what happened to him last week after excuse me, after he had a bit of an off, shall we say, right towards the end there, getting taken out with a bit of net code. It was a bit of a shame to see what happened to him there. And interestingly enough, our championship leader, Darren McKenzie, sitting down in 14th at the moment with a 33.1. So hopefully we can see what he is going to do as practice comes to an end. And you can see the infield track there is actually quite interesting to drive. Have done it in an IndyCar and a few other cars as well, and it sort of peels off just before the oval turn one, and goes right to the inside, and it's actually quite interesting how much rise and fall there is, as we can see the number 52 of Aiden Schultz on screen here coming out for qualifying, and Mark Smith jumping up on the timing sheets there. So let's see what's going to happen for qualifying here. Raymond Jaeger pops up as well. New team for him as far as I'm aware, so let's see what happens there. And there comes Scott McClintock as well as Mark Johansson coming out of pit lane. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Here goes Aiden Schultz. He'll be the first one to set a lap, running it high up by the wall, tucks it down. Does he go right to the apex? Yes, he does, right to the apex. So using all of the track that he can, and he'll be trying to maximize the throttle if possible as he heads down the back straight for the first of his two timed laps tonight here at Homestead Miami Speedway, heading through turns 3 and 4 now as well. Probably not as low as he would have wanted, but there is plenty of room to run it up wide and high on the exit here, as opposed to turns 1 and 2. Turns 2, the wall comes down quite vigorously, and it's a 32.8 for Schultz as he crosses the line there. It's a 32.8 for Derek Jacobs, a 32.82 for Mark Smith. He goes to the top. So it's 7 100ths of a second between Smith and Schultz at the top of the timing board there. And now Smith is on the top, and we've got Jaeger, who's done a 33.02. We've got the 98 that's done a 33.06. We've got Spencer that's done a 33. Greg Spencer's done a 33.59, and nothing much has changed too much at the top now. I suspect that everyone will be loading their gun for that second lap. Here's Ruben Phelps, the 06 on screen now with a 32.83, so he's not too far ahead of his teammate and Aiden Schultz as he heads down the back straight now. Williams is the 98 there in 6th place. I should have picked up on that one. Now, Smith is still at the top of the charts. Can anyone displace him? 11 out of 19 cars have set a lap thus far. As Phelps heads down the front straight, he is down. We've got the red bar there. He's down again. But it is a 32.83 that'll see Ruben Phelps in second provisionally. Here's your championship leader, Darren McKenzie, as he heads through turns 3 and 4 now as well. Runs it nice and low, and now he'll know that you can run it high and wide on the exit. You can do it in the IndyCar, you can do it in the NASCAR. Oh, that's brave, right next to the wall, running down the front straight. That's a 32.825. Well, no, it wasn't. He's made a liar out of me. That was a 33.27. He's in 10th. So, sorry, the 32.825. That's the fastest lap of the race so far. That's the comparison. Fastest lap in qualifying so far. Sorry, that's the comparison. As we've got the number 13 making his way out of pit lane here to set himself a lap now. So it is still Mark Smith on top, followed by Phelps, Schultz, Allison, Durand, Jaeger, Williams, Jesberg, Ariel, and Drady. That's your top 10. Heading through turns 3 and 4 now is Hamish Gallagher. Let's see what he can do. Remember the benchmark, 32.825. Let's see what Gallagher can do through turns 1 and 2. A seasoned campaigner, knows what he's doing. He's running a very different line to everyone else. He's been around for quite some time, and that turn 2 wall doesn't quite bite, but he gets up nice and close to it, heading down the back straight now. Let's see what he can do as he heads through turns 3 and 4. Gallagher's probably giving it everything that he's got. Sorry, JP. He's only just green at the moment. There we go, as he comes across the line, and he will pop into 7th place, so 32.98. But he'll be popping his, he'll be giving it all for his second lap there as he makes his way through turn 2, down the back straight now, and I think he may have just backed out of it, perhaps, or running a slightly different line. So it is Smith that still sits atop the leaderboard. 17 out of 19 cars have set a lap thus far. A very interesting paint job for Hamish Gallagher there, as we pick up on Kobe Jordan, the 080, making his way down the back straight into turns 3 and 4 now. That's striking inside lane productions Ford Mustang, and I think he's just peeling off into the pit lane there as well. So with all that said and done, I think... Oh, no, we can't discount this man. Here he comes, Paul Jackson. I think he may have had a brush with the wall at some point as well. The front of that car's not looking too flash, but he is down at the moment. And then, well, that's qualifying done. So Mark Smith will take pole, and we'll get those official qualifying results for you very soon. Remember, 166 laps is the distance tonight. And there is your qualifying results there. So it is Mark Smith on top with a 32.825. And then we go back to Ruben Phelps, Aiden Schultz, Brad Ellison, Durand, Jaeger, Gallagher, Williams, Jesberg, Ariel. That's your top 10. And then we've got Drady, McKenzie, Davies, Jackson, Jordan, Johansson. Geez, the Triple J's there. Spencer, McClintock, Jacobs, and Shaw. That's your top 20 there. So Mark Smith and Ruben Phelps off your front row. It'll be Smith on the inside and Phelps on the outside. And then, of course, we have got Aiden Schultz, starting in third place with Brad Ellison, Durand, Jaeger, Gallagher, Stephen Williams, Will Jesberg, Adam Ariel, Paul Drady, Darren McKenzie. And as we roll back the page there, we have got Dylan Davies, Paul Jackson, Kobe Jordan, Mark Johansson, Greg Spencer, Scott McClintock, Jarek Jacobs, and Michael Shaw rounding out the field there. So those last three cars did not set a time. And we'll wait for our pace car to lead us away. And for those of you that are new to this and weren't aware, your qualifying position determines your pit box for the race. So if you qualify first, you get the very last pit box, which is the pit box at the very end of pit lane, right at the exit. If you get third, obviously you're third back, and so on and so forth. So your qualifying position can be quite important when it comes to the race. In terms of your pit box and all that sort of stuff. Everyone travels the same speed down pit lane, so it's all much the same. But sometimes you can put yourself in quite an advantageous spot, especially if you're on pit exit. You can actually gather up as much speed as you like. So, here we go. Smith on the inside, and Phelps on the outside.
I think perhaps watch for Phelps to dive down to the inside and start working with Schultz to try to start moving ahead if they can.
Absolutely right. Wouldn't be surprised if we see that at all. The Toyota Camrys will be looking for a second straight win. Pace car pulls off. We're waiting for the green flag. Barney's got the green flag in hand, and we are away. Smith gets a really good jump over Phelps. Phelps was a little bit lagging behind a wee bit there, I think. They all start in second gear. They'll be popping up to third and fourth right about now. Smith has the inside line, works really well. Let's see what Phelps is going to do as they head through turns 3 and 4. Oh, Schultze's a little bit loose. Schultze's very loose as they head through turn 2, and he manages to gather it up without causing any trouble. So that promotes Ellison to third place. Remember, 166 laps. It's a long way to go. Schultz has got plenty of time to try and gather that one up. He's lost a ton of ground. He would have wanted to get it out the way of everyone else. He's dropped down to 9th, 10th. So he's down 7 spots as we head down the front straight for the second time. And Allison's managed to work his way up to second place. He'll be looking for a bit of redemption after last week. And look at Ruben Phelps now going to look into the inside of Brad Ellison, JP. A rip-roaring start to the race.
Yeah, brilliant start there. Great save by Schultz there at the start. He's fallen down the order, but like you said, a lot of laps to go. So yeah, he should be all right.
He knows what he's doing. He's a very smooth operator. He's been around for about 12 months now, and he's certainly made his mark. As we jump on board with David Durand now. From the United States, one of the only, well, probably the only United States driver in the field tonight as he heads down the back straight, and he has got Ruben Phelps in his sight. So he's sitting in 4th, Phelps in 3rd, and Ellison and Smith ahead of them. There goes Durand to the outside. He's working the outside. Let's see what this can do as he comes up on Ruben Phelps. Picks up just a wee bit, and Phelps slots back in front. Now the draft is quite important as they head down the front straight. There's Durand. He's got Gallagher on the inside of him. Lap 4 of 166, and Gallagher, let's see what he can do on Durand now. Durand's gone super wide there. That's a tactical move because there's a couple of guys that are doing that, and it seems to be working for them. Look at the ground that Durand has made on Phelps as they head down the back straight now. Gallagher's slotted in behind. And now Gallagher's going for the dive. Now remember, he can't go too far because he's got Phelpsy right in front of him. So it's Phelps. And where does this stick Gallagher? He has managed to get the move done on Durand. So Durand has, oh, now he's shooting back to the outside as David Durand in the 24 DuPont Chevy Camaro as they head down the back straight again. He's getting a little bit impatient as David Duran. He's been throwing it to the outside, and let's see what he does down it to turn 3. He's going high again, but he's not throwing it as wide as he was previously, as he was down in turns 3 and 4. So there's your running order and the ticker along the bottom. We've got Brad Ellison and Mark Smith. So Brad Ellison is leading the way now over Mark Smith. There's about 3/10 of a second gap between those two. We've got Ruben Phelps. Gallagher we can see battling on screen with David Duran now. Gallagher making a threat on Ruben Phelps. David Duran in 5th, and in 6th place we've got Raymond Yeager. That's the car I couldn't quite pick up on. Behind him is Stephen Williams. So looking at Hamish Gallagher now has managed to clear David Duran quite nicely. And look at Stephen Williams all the way up at the wall there in the background, as is David Duran now. That's where you make up the ground and the speed. Stephen Williams, very smooth operator. Expect him to do big things tonight here at Homestead Miami Speedway. And Williams and Durand still running that high line, making up the speed on the exit, as Durand is now alongside Raymond Yeager down the back straight, and Durand manages to get the job done. Williams is making up a good amount of gap on Yeager as they head through turns 3 and 4. Loving that wide shot, back to a tight shot. Look at how close Stephen Williams is to that wall, and David Durand much the same. They're all battling. They're side by side for lap after lap after lap after lap until something gives. Something's got to give at some stage. It'll probably all end in tears. That's usually what happens here at Cup Racing, but sometimes it's always fast. It's close, it's tight, and it's exciting. Williams still threatening Durand and Yeager there as they head down the back straight, and it is Ellison that leads the way, remember. So Brad Ellison, after the horrors of Auto Club, leads the way with 8 laps down, and look how Stephen Williams is going. Wouldn't mind jumping on board with him and just seeing what he's doing when he goes into turn 3 and 4, seeing if we can get a wee gauge as to what he's doing with the with perhaps the throttle and the steering. He's putting quite a lot of steering input there, but remembering they do have offset as well. So there's your speedometer on the right hand side of screen there, and he's got quite a lot of offset there. So that means he's actually not turning the steering wheel as much as you might think. So here he goes into turns 3 and 4. And he's a little bit deeper this time, so he's not going to give us the spectacular wall riding that he was before, and he's made up quite a bit of ground on Durand there as they come down the front straight. Durand doesn't want to tuck in. That's a very wise call there, and he's got the move done by the looks of it. Let's see what Williams does now as they hit through turns 3 and 4. Jeez, you would think that Stephen Williams was going straight for that wall. 10 to go with 10 down with 156 to go. David Durand and Stephen Williams battling hard, JP.
Yeah, that move gave Williams the edge over Durand, but yeah, look, they are really starting to battle hard. 10 laps into a 166 lap race, you'd think that this was a 16 lap race.
This was a 16 lap race, and they are battling incredibly hard here at Homestead Miami Speedway. And looking out the back of Stephen Williams there, you can see David Duran. Let's see how close he sticks the nose up heading down the back straight here. Look at the front of that Chevy. Doesn't that look good? He's just pulled off a wee bit to create a bit of a gap. He doesn't want to get too much dirty air going through turns 3 and 4. And Duran now just trying to see what he can do. Work the back of that car as we head back to the front. It's Brad Ellison leading the way over Ruben Phelps. So Mark Smith has dropped back a wee bit. So Ruben Phelps is sitting in second place there over Hamish Gallagher. I think that's managed to jump up into third place there. So it's a battle of the usual suspects that we see across all disciplines. Weekend Warriors and Dan's car. They're always there or thereabouts, and it is Ellison leading the way. A very formidable name when it comes to NASCAR Cup car racing within the Australian sim sports communities. And there it is. Ruben Phelps tucked in behind. It's Chev versus Toyota versus Ford. It's blue versus yellow versus red here at Homestead Miami Speedway. And Heading through turns 1 and 2. Look at Hamish Gallagher now trying to put the move on Ruben Phelps as they head through turn 2 and coming down the back straight. Let's see what they're going to do. It's a wee bit bumpy down that back straight there, much like it was at Auto Club. Let's see what's going to happen now. Hamish Gallagher was threatening big time on Ruben Phelps, but he's going to set himself up again. Ruben Phelps just covering very nicely on Hamish Gallagher. It's Mustang versus Toyota, but there's no difference. It's just the makes and the manufacturers. Everything is exactly the same. And coming through turn 1 now, look at Mark Smith. He might try and capitalise on this as well. Look at the ground that Ruben Phelps is making up on Brad Allison through there as well. You just saw that on screen as he managed to edge up towards the back of Allison, down the back straight now. And it is Gallagher going for the big dive on Phelps, just making up gap after gap after gap, and Stephen Williams, you see in the background there, still running the wall very, very high. So Brad Allison still leads the way with 15 down and 166 laps, just a touch over 400 kilometres the distance. Allison, trouble for Allison perhaps, because Phelps makes it through and Gallagher does as well by the looks. Gallagher and Allison side by side down the back straight. A change for the lead there, JP.
Yeah, I kind of got the impression that that might have been a little bit strategic by Allison. Maybe drop back a little bit, get into the slip screen, start to save a little bit of fuel there.
Absolutely very strategic. I was actually speaking to our championship leader, Darren McKenzie, after Auto Club last week, and he said when he dropped back that was absolutely intentional. There he is on screen now, having a relatively quiet race thus far. Down in the towards the back of the pack, he's got Paul Jackson behind him, and yeah, relatively quiet race so far. He can see the leaders in sight, but certainly just relaxing there at the back and probably trying to make his way through at the same time, I guess. Mark Smith alongside Brad Allison now as they head down the front straight, but I'd say, JP, that'd be absolutely correct, that would be more of a strategic call than anything. Just to make sure that he can save a bit of fuel and save a bit of tyres as well, because he will know that there is no point battling hard this early in the race when there's such a long way to go. These races are long, they're hard, they're mentally straining, and they can be quite physically straining as well, believe it or not, as we head through turns 3 and 4. They can be quite hard to keep a lid on it, so he'll be just relaxing, just getting into a rhythm and having a bit of fun out there.
Yeah, it looks exactly like that. It looks like the cars, those first 5 cars are just getting into a bit of a rhythm. They're getting to understand what the car in front of them's doing, where they're weak, where they're strong. It's just sizing each other up. At the moment, you know, it's not time to race yet. It's just time to circulate and buy themselves a ticket to the last pit stop.
That's right. That critical lap's probably going to be about maybe 40 or 50 laps before, but probably about 40 laps before the end of that last pit cycle, as we have a look at Aidan Schultz making his way back up through the field. Now, this is going to be a sacrifice of fuel and tyres. He manages to make his way past David Durand. I think he's popped himself into 7th place there. Yes, he has. So Durand has dropped all the way down to 8th. I wonder if that might be a strategic play as well, because I think his tyres may have expired if he pushed that hard. 20 laps into a 166 lap race, not the call you want to be making. Paul Drady sitting in 9th there and Will Jesberg in 10th. So a great run for Will Jesberg, sitting up in the top 10 here at Homestead. Looking at Durand and Schultz here. Schultz is on the march. Now, he lost some ground big time on that first lap. Schultz having sort of a half spin through turn 2 and running that high line just like Durand and Drady are there, and he would have been watching Stephen Williams, I'd say, just getting a feel for what he's doing as we cut back to the leaders here. Brad Allison's not the leader anymore. He's sitting in about 4th place. He's got Mark Smith just behind him, so these two were battling pretty hard last week at Auto Club, and there's our leaders right there. So there's Ruben Phelps and Hamish Gallagher. Now Gallagher will be pressuring young Ruben Phelps very, very hard. It's Toyota versus Ford Mustang as they head through turns 1 and 2. And Phelpsy, a very young guy, but he's come in and taken the Australian Stock Car Club by, grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and shown, yep, I'm here, this is me, watch out. And Hamish Gallagher, as we've said plenty of times, a very seasoned campaigner. He's been around for a while. He knows exactly what he's doing. Heading down the front straight now, and that pink Mustang looking very threatening now as they come into turn one. And look at the ground that he made up there. It looked like he had to back off a wee bit because I think he didn't expect Phelpsy to back off as much as he did. JP, plenty of gamesmanship so early on.
Yeah, and that would probably also be speaking volumes now. If Phelps had to back off that much, he knows that he's going to be stronger at that point in the track than Phelps is, and that might be his opportunity.
You can take a leaf out of Stephen Williams's book and maybe send it round the outside, but that might be a wee bit too early for that. So we'll have to see what becomes of that in the coming laps and before the end of the race, as we cut back to Raymond Yeager and of course Mark Smith on the outside of him there. So there's plenty to play for here at Homestead Miami. Still obviously a wee way to go, but plenty to play for, and there's a lot happening here at the moment with Mark Smith battling away with Raymond Yeager here in the number 23. Doesn't look like he's racing for Activity Hub Bali anymore, unfortunately. Not sure what the story is there, whether that team's defunct or whether it's still around, but nonetheless, still out here and racing. Haven't seen Raymond for quite some time, actually. It's great to see him back in the Weekend Warriors fold, and just in front of Mark Smith, the number 7 there. What we're going to do is if the director doesn't mind, we're going to pump up the volume a wee bit here and enjoy a couple of laps with Mark Smith here at Homestead Miami. So sit back, crank up the volume, and listen to these gorgeous beasts rip around Homestead Miami Speedway. Alrighty, welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway, and it's heating up at the front. Lap 26 of 166, Ruben Phelps and Hamish Gallagher battling away at the front as they head down the front straight. And lap traffic will become a factor very, very soon, as we can see a car off in the distance there. And Ruben Phelps definitely under threat from Hamish Gallagher now. It's youth versus experience. Ruben Phelps say that'd be quite the strategy there. They've pulled out a fantastic lead over the rest of them, but I'd say that Phelpsy's probably rising to the challenge quite nicely, just looking at it, because Hamish is quick. As we cut back to Paul Jackson, we can see on screen there, and Greg Spencer as well. And Greg Spencer running his own paint scheme, so he was a racer for Activity Hub Bali Racing, and they've got one of the Snafu racing cars in the background there as well. I think that may be McClintock in the background. Just keeping an eye on these two, seeing what's happening. Yes, it is Scott McClintock. So there you go. Paul Jackson probably not running as high as where we would usually see him. He certainly was on form last week at Auto Club for the Red Rose 400, but unfortunately things came to a blow pretty earlier on. But here comes Scott McClintock now, wanting to put a pass on Paul Jackson now as they head through turns 1 and 2. That beautiful Aotearoa Racing Toyota Camry, and Scott McClintock gets the job done very nicely in that Napa Auto Parts Chevy, the number 16, with Simshed Broadcasting on the back. That's great logo placement there, JP. I think he knew exactly what he was doing. Definitely not, and I think I can see the logo right on the front of his car as well. Oh, very well done there, JP. That's very good. So we're looking at Paul Jackson there. We might jump on board with him and just see how his car is handling as well, seeing if the tyres are going away. He's lost a couple of positions over the last couple of laps, so heading down the back straight now, and wee bit of steering offset there, probably just a wee bit more than what we've seen so far, and quite a bit of angle there by the looks of it. He's scrubbing off quite a bit of speed as well. He's doing 35. Well, his last lap was a 35.6. So if you compare that to qualifying, that's certainly a wee way off the pace. And if you think about the cars at the front as well, that's certainly quite a bit of pace. So he's improved with a 35.1. But back to the leaders, battling with lap traffic. This could cause some trouble for our leaders. So Phelps and Gallagher still leading the way. They've got about 2.5 seconds back to Brad Ellison, who's currently sitting in third place, heading down the front straight here. Lap 32 of 166, still quite the way to go. You can see that Ruben Phelps is coming out of the gas quite significantly. Everything looks a lot slower around here than it did around Auto Club, JP. Everyone looks like they're going at walking pace, whereas at Auto Club everything was quite quick. Certainly changeable track week after week.
Yeah, 100% there. They seem to be a lot more relaxed, a lot more at ease, and everything's going a lot slower. But I can tell you, they're going to be anything but slow in those cars. They're going to be working their butts off.
Oh, absolutely. They'll be working incredibly hard, and it's what you don't see that shows you that it's gone incredibly hard work, shall we say. They'll be working their butts off just to make sure that everything works out okay and that they manage to keep it all, well, on track, shall we say, making sure that it all goes well for them. So we'll just have to see how this race unfolds as Scott McClintock is battling away with Paul Jackson there. So this is for the top 10, and Jackson, interestingly enough, still managing to keep within striking distance of Scott McClintock now as they head through turns 1 and 2, and Jackson just suffering a little bit on the entry, but I think that's because Scott McClintock is actually pushing quite a bit on the entry. Here we go! It's all on at the front. Hamish Gallagher and Ruben Phelps, there must have been a wee bit of contact between them there. They're going to be side by side as they head down the front straight. It's only lap 35 and we've got this gamesmanship going left, right and centre. It's all on, and Gallagher gets through for the lead over Ruben Phelps. But I don't think it's over yet because Phelpsy's making that car as big as possible in the rear view mirror of Hamish Gallagher as they head down the back straight now. Let's see what's going to happen as they come through turns 3 and 4. Geez, we cut back at the right moment, didn't we? Hamish Gallagher took the lead from Ruben Phelps, and I think that's probably how it's going to stay. JP, man, that was some close racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Ruben had he had about a 30-second lead on Gallagher, and then all of a sudden it just started to drop away really quickly. I don't know whether he had a little moment there that allowed Gallagher to come up on him, but like I said, he saw the opportunity and obviously sees that now he's going to try and skip away if he can.
Absolutely right. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens now with Hamish Gallagher still leading the way here after that very interesting battle with Ruben Phelps. He's pulled out a wee bit of a gap now, so he seems to be working out quite nicely for him. Lap 37, I think we're going to start seeing tyres and fuel changing very soon here at Homestead Miami Speedway. And the sun's going down, so the track will be getting colder. So as soon as you can get on that fresh rubber, the better it's going to work for you, because the colder the track is, the more stickier it is. The more the tyres are going to stick to the track. Hotter it is, the looser it is. So you don't want an overly hot track, otherwise your car's going to be absolutely all over the place. Heading back to Brad Ellison and Raymond Yeager now for battling for 3rd and 4th. Raymond Yeager in that pink Chevy SS. Sorry, JP.
Have a look at where Darren is.
Aaron McKenzie currently battling for 15th and 16th with Will Jesberg there by the looks of it. JP, not where he would want to be. Or is this a strategic game? Is he going to rip raw to the front as the race progresses?
Is he doing some fuel saving? I mean, you're looking at about 58, 59 laps out of a tank here. Is he looking at doing some fuel saving? Is he looking to save his tyres? And then looking at coming on strong like he did last week?
Quite the possibility, because you remember the run that he had last week at Auto Club where he led by about 10 seconds for quite some time, and then unfortunately just sort of came away from him. I think he sort of did that earlier on in the piece last week as well, where he just sort of dropped off a wee bit. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. JP, some interesting strategy calls, and we're never privy to them.
No, we don't know what these guys are going to do, and we can see just little battle packs up and down through the excuse me, through the field here as the drivers are starting to jockey and make position. But if we go back to the front, we can see already Hamish Gallagher's pulled out a 60-second lead there, and he seems to be going all right through lap traffic.
He seems to be going quite well through lap traffic. I think a lot of these guys are just making way. He's going to try and get past Dylan Davies there, who's got a wee bit of damage to the front of his car. So Davies will be like, yep, no worries, mate. You just swing on by there, pal. And Ruben Phelps just making his way through lap traffic as well as we head back to Paul Drady in the 129 there. He's just been passed by Greg Spencer by the looks of it. Now he's got Paul Jackson breathing down his neck as well. So it's going to be Chevy versus Ford versus Toyota. And I think that is well, that's someone in pit lane there. I'm not sure who that was. Is that Paul Jackson?
Derek Jacobs, it looks like.
Derek Jacobs, sorry. So 2 JACs in this one. It's Derek Jacobs pulling down pit lane. So, and Kobe Jordan's down pit lane as well. So we are getting very, very close to seeing people blink, going for pit stops here in terms of getting tyres and fuel. So when you see the red pit light flashing, that means they're driving and they're in the fast lane. When it's solid, that means they've stopped in their box as far as I'm aware. So as they head through, picking up on the leader here, Hamish Gallagher, when will he blink? Will he blink? And when and if he does, how far away are we going to be, and what's he going to do? Will Jesberg is in the pit lane now as well, so he will be trundling down the lane too. So Hamish Gallagher, quite the sizable lead over Ruben Phelps there, JP. He's done a good job. Now it's going to be about saving the tyres if he can, and it's going to come down to those pit stops.
Yeah, Ruben's not letting him get too far ahead though, but I think Gallagher's game plan is going to be try to get a gap, look at a green. Looks like he's going to have to do a green pit stop, and get in and get a good stop going and get back out in front of Phelps.
Absolutely right. So there's about half a second between them now as they're heading through turns 1 and 2, so they're definitely within breathing distance of each other. Definitely not striking distance, but Ruben's definitely within probably enough for Hamish Gallagher to be just looking up in his mirror once every probably once every couple of seconds or so, just to make sure he's still there and make sure he's not too close or anything like that. But going to be very interesting to see what Hamish Gallagher does when and if he pits. Or not a matter of if he pits, it's when he pits and how he executes that and what he does. So we will have obviously an effective leader once he pits, and depends whether Phelpsy does the same or not as well, JP, because if he blinks at the same time, well then you can't get much closer than that.
No, if he blinks at the same time, he'll be definitely right up Gallagher's block hole. But I'm looking at it'd be interesting to see who blinks first. If Phelps blinks, I'd say Gallagher, even if he's got more fuel, he'll react straight away. Vice versa, if Gallagher goes in, Phelps would probably follow him in, if not the very next lap.
Absolutely right. So lap 45, the tyres must be coming away pretty quickly, so I'd say we'd probably be looking at a 3-stop race here, so, or maybe even a 2 at a big stretch.
Have a look at, sorry, Billy, Mackenzie's just about to be lapped.
Oh, he is too. I wonder how much he's struggling. I wonder if we can get an on-board shot with Darren McKenzie there, just to see what his inputs are like and everything like that, and see how much he's struggling. Oh, he's struggling big time. Look at that. He must have to come in for tyres and fuel, surely. If he's got that much steering lock happening, then he is going to struggle big time, and he's going to be losing more and more time like you would not believe. Oh, look at that. I can just
Oh,
imagine. Oh, he's in the wall. Just touched the wall. I was just going to say, I can just imagine what that's like to drive. It must be an absolute pig. The poor chap will be struggling, and he must be coming very close to pitting.
I'm kind of thinking he opened up the steering there a little for Phelps and then didn't realise the car was going to understeer as badly as it did.
Letting another car through there, and that I think was Kobe Jordan. So he's certainly struggling, and he's got Will Jesberg breathing down his neck as well. So this is our championship leader, ladies and gentlemen, struggling big time with the handling of the car.
This has actually given Gallagher a over 1 second lead on Phelps now.
There you go. So Phelps, he's pulled. I wonder if Phelps is struggling as well. He's gone back to 1.2 because one of the lap cars has gone in front of him there. I think that's Kobe Jordan, or is it? Yeah, it is. It's Kobe Jordan that's managed to get in front of him. And look at Will Jesberg now coming up the inside of Ruben Phelps. Now this is unlapping himself, trying to get by, and this is the two Iridium Sim Sports cars are gonna disturb the leading pack here like you wouldn't believe. These guys, the lead cars, they're on old tyres.
Yep,
and
this would be the advantage of fresh tyres, wouldn't it?
Exactly, it's fresh tyres, and that doesn't make the battle any easier for any camp. So, surely Gallagher and Phelps must be coming to pit very soon. Greg Spencer's in the pit lane, and Hamish Gallagher can't be too far away either. I think Phelps is probably just hoping and praying that that Hamish Gallagher pits very soon, because I think that he'll be probably struggling to hold on just a wee bit, remembering youth versus experience here at Homestead Miami Speedway, and still a long way to go.
100%, but I'm going to say that Gallagher's running to a plan here. Lap 50, it's not time to come in, and he's going to do a few more laps.
Money on that as well, mate. Absolutely right. The thing is, with these, oh, here we go now. It's all on, isn't it?
Now this could change
in front of the leaders.
This could force Gallagher into the pits.
I wouldn't be surprised if it did. He's coming up on lapping David Duran there as well, who was battling with earlier on. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does force Gallagher into the pits. Now, what we're seeing here as well, JP, is Gallagher trying his hardest to stretch this out to see if he can get a two-stopper. He needs to go at least another 10 to 15 laps to try and get a two-stopper out of this, because if you're going to pit every 60 laps, then you're going to be pitting lap 60, lap 120, and then you'd be looking at lap 180. So this is going to be very interesting to see what happens there. And now the gap has opened up even more versus Phelps, JP. This is makes for very interesting racing.
From my read, I think the earliest or the latest he can come in is 58.59.
That's cutting it fine. And remember about all that time that he spent in traffic. He probably would have been saving fuel back then, but he has had a big push on getting towards the front. So again, it is going to be very interesting to see what happens as the race goes on, heading through turns 1 and 2. You can see that the pace has slowed down quite significantly as he heads down the back straight now as well. Hamish Gallagher with Taylor Swift on the side of his car for a bit of extra motivation there, and 3 seconds the gap now back to Ruben Phelps. So who's going to shake it off? Is it going to be Hamish Gallagher, or is it going to be Ruben Phelps? Who blinks first? Gallagher going around for another lap, JP, like you say. 58.59.
I'm going to say the earliest that Phelps will come in will be on lap 55.
Alrighty. He hasn't come in now, so I'd say that that's certainly quite the possibility. Jaeger's in pit lane as well. So Raymond Jaeger pits from 6th place.
At lap 55, he pretty much breaks it down into a two-stop race. So 55, 55, and then 56.
Yeah, you're good at maths, mate. I'm terrible at them. So let's see whether Phelpsy comes in at all. And when I'm just very curious to see when Gallagher comes in, because so we're on board with Mark Smith. We've got Aiden Schultz just in front now. Obviously, Ruben Phelps hasn't jumped up on the ticker there, so he hasn't pitted yet either. But Mark Smith and Aiden Schultz, I wonder have they? I don't think they've pitted either, have they?
No, they haven't pitted. They haven't pitted either. The first car to have actually pitted is Raymond Yeager down in 12th.
Right, and he was running about 6th, I think. So. Or running about 5th or 6th, so he's dropped down a few positions there. Hamish Gallagher's still running, and I think maybe he is getting very close to coming down pit lane. Just looking at the attitude of the car, could be incredibly wrong. Duran's in pit lane. He pitted from 16th, so he dropped a wee way back.
4-second lead over Phelps. This is going to be perfect timing to pit now.
Absolutely right. McClintock's in pit lane as well. Goes around for another lap. Phelps is still going as well by the looks of it. And we're still running. Blows me away every single time that they're still going lap after lap after lap with the tyres, the fuel. Has to be marginal. Mackenzie's in pit lane now as well. Oh, this is unreal.
Not long now. I mean, the guys who have actually pitted now, they're roughly 2 seconds a lap faster than Gallagher and Phelps. So they're going to have to think about pitting now. They've done enough laps now. They should be able to get in. It's going to be a two-stopper for them.
It's just well and like you say, well and truly a two-stopper, but. It just makes you wonder how long they can run it out for before they start to, well, I don't know, lose the plot, I guess, before they start to lose grip and lose everything, really.
Well, I'm going to say he's at the limit of his tank. He's either in this lap or next lap.
Absolutely right. Smith's in pit lane. Mark Smith is in pit lane. Pits from 4th place after battling with Aiden Schultz. So, Gallagher must be coming in now. Must be very close. Goes on for another lap. There's Phelps. And he's still going, and you can tell that he's struggling big time as... looks like Derek Jacobs is going to get up the inside of him, I think. Not quite. But Phelpsy running in 2nd and is, of course, quite a way behind Hamish Gallagher. We pick up on the leader there now through turns 3 and 4. Lap 60 of 166. And again. So, 6.5 seconds roughly the gap between Phelps and Gallagher, and the battle's on big time.
Absolutely.
Battle is really on.
I mean, his last stop, his stationary time is going to be significantly less than anyone else because he'll be taking on less fuel, but he's absolutely bleeding time. Schultz is in now too, so he knows that Schultz is going to be fast. He probably needs to cover him off.
Absolutely right. So, how do you call it? Look, oh, there goes Raymond Yeager. I'll get my lap back. Thank you very much, says Raymond. Down the front straight again, about to start lap 62. I would have been up to my 2nd pit stop now if I was Hamish Gallagher. That shows the experience that he has over someone like me. But coming through turns 1 and 2 as well, Hamish Gallagher from New Zealand makes the fantastic strategy calls all the way from Kiwi land. With Taylor Swift on the side of the car, the number 13. Is it going to be this time, JP?
I'm not even going to guess anymore because obviously my fuel calculations are no good. Here we go.
In pit lane. Here we go. I was about to put $100 on it too. I should have done that. Then you would have owed me money. So the leader is in pit lane, and is Phelpsy going to pit as well? No, he's not. He'll carry on for another lap.
Now that's going to be a mistake.
David Durand about to unlap himself there, I think, over Ruben Phelps. So is Ruben going to push as hard as he can? Not like he can push very hard, but is he going to be pushing as hard as he can? It's amazing how this all unfolds here at Homestead Miami Speedway. And does Ruben pit this lap? You can easily make it a two-stop race. And here he comes, down into pit lane. Ruben Phelps blinks a lap after his battler, Hamish Gallagher. And, well, this is going to be a close one.
Now
So they'll be
this,
looking to pit again around about lap 120 or maybe 125, possibly even earlier.
now this is going to be an interesting question with that extra lap. For the time that he'd lost on that extra lap, will it save him more time being stationary for less time, I guess, on his final stop?
That's quite a possibility there, JP, and I think that Hamish has managed to get it done. So he's definitely managed to get past Phelps by the looks of it, I think. Yep, there's Ruben Phelps there, only just coming out of pit lane now. So did he make a mistake, or was he just stationary for quite some time, maybe? There's Darren McKenzie. So Williams is propped up into second place. Gallagher's in third. Spencer's in fourth. And Mark Smith is in fifth. And Phelps has come out all the way down in sixth place.
I can tell
Darren
you,
McKenzie.
Billy, I can tell you that Phelps' stop was slightly quicker than Gallagher's. Gallagher's was a 15.13. Phelps was a 15.08. So effectively, just the time lost by staying out on track there has cost him that extra time on Gallagher.
Wow, there you go. So decisions, they are vital. And here's our leader, Raymond Yeager. Now, has he pitted? I think he has, hasn't he? He pitted quite some time ago. He was one of the first ones to pit, I think.
So at this stage, the entire field has actually pitted.
There you go. So the entire field has pitted, and we're on lap 166. And they've all only just pitted as well, as Raymond Yeager's just going to lap Kobe Jordan there in the Iridium Sim Sports Ford Mustang.
So this
down into turn one.
This is where it's going to get interesting. Phelps pitted on lap 63. Gallagher a lap before him on 62. So by that rationale, Gallagher should be pitting somewhere around about 124. Phelps at 126. What's the time going to be saved by Phelps on the last stop, and will that be enough to put him ahead of Gallagher?
Oh, jeez. So many possibilities here, JP. So many possibilities.
And all this is assuming that we go green to the end, which is, it's possible, but caution periods are almost inevitable in these kinds of races.
Absolutely right, especially around a track like this as well. Anything can happen if someone sort of half spins or spins up and stops and hits the wall. Well, then that brings out a yellow flag. So we've been enjoying these green flag runs quite a lot in recent past. Last week at Auto Club Speedway, we went probably about 70 or 80 laps before we had a yellow flag, and that certainly threw things into the mix. Once we got a yellow, we got about 3 more after that. So what we're going to do now is take a wee bit of a break here on SimShed Broadcasting. We'll get you to pump up the volume, crank up the volume, and we'll jump on board with Mark Smith as he makes his way around Homestead Miami Speedway. Crank up the volume. We're going to crank it up here in the studio and enjoy a few laps of Homestead Miami Speedway. Alrighty, welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway, cranking it up for a couple of laps there, and plenty happening here with myself and JP just talking about strategy off air there. JP, interesting discussion there. What's your read on what's happening?
Look, at this stage, everything's contingent on this race remaining green, but it almost looks like Gallagher's got the better of the two strategies at this stage. He's been able to, he was able to get into the lane a lap earlier than Phelps and get back out again with close to a 10-second margin on Phelps. On that rationale, if that happens again, if Phelps comes in behind Gallagher, it's going to be very difficult for Phelps to make that margin up after the last of the stops. But like I said, that's all contingent on this race staying green.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Just looking at the live timing here, and Raymond Yeager currently 1.29, and that gap is closing in front of Hamish Gallagher there, as you were saying. So Hamish Gallagher last pitted on lap 62 and Phelps 63, and they were the latest to pit. Aidan Schultz was on 60, and as was Brad Allison. Paul Jackson actually last pitted on, by the looks of it, lap 62. So yeah, plenty happening here at
you can see the gap now. I mean, it's not long now before Gallagher makes that move.
That's right. You can get the visual on it and just sort of figure out how far away Gallagher might be. In fact, there he goes. Hamish Gallagher to the inside of Raymond Yeager. Will he make it stick and get the job done? That he does, as he heads down the front straight and reclaims the lead of the Citrus 400 here at Homestead Miami Speedway, and taking the lead away from Raymond Yeager and taking his rightful place. So I'd say that we will not see him in pit lane again until about lap 125, maybe lap 124. We've seen how far he can stretch it out. He's not even 20 laps into a stint yet. Going back to Brad Allison sitting in 9th there, and just battling with Paul Jackson and Greg Spencer by the looks of it. Perhaps one of them might be a lap down, if not maybe both of them, but Paul Jackson battling away in the foreground there.
Yep, and I have to say, really smart driving by Raymond Yeager there, not getting involved with Gallagher. He saw him coming, he knew he had the pace on him, and he just kept to that high line and let Gallagher get on with it.
Absolutely right. So Brad Allison moves up into 8th, and we're almost at half race distance as Paul Jackson sitting up high from Brad Allison. Now this is a very interesting exchange as they're side by side coming into turn 3, and it looks like Brad Allison gets the job done. Excuse me. So Gallagher leads the way from Yeager, Phelps, Mark Smith, Aidan Schultz, Stephen Williams, Brad Allison, Paul Jackson, Greg Spencer, Scott McClintock, Paul Drady, Mark Johansson, Willie Esberg, Kobe Jordan, Dave Durant, Darren McKenzie, our championship leader, all the way back in 16th and a lap down. Michael Shaw's in 17th, Dylan Davies in 18th, Adam Ariel in 19th, and Derek Jacobs in Team Bali, Activity Hub Bali. So, a lot to play for in this one, JP. Still a long way to go.
Yeah, 100%. I'm still not counting Darren McKenzie out. I know he's down in 16th. I know he's a lap down, but he's come from right down the back of the pack before, and been able to pull a win out of the bag. So, and on top of that, look, he does have points in hand, so he doesn't necessarily have to try too hard.
Absolutely right. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to work very hard for that one at all. He's. Let's have a look Yeah, Brad Ellison. Yeah, pitted not too long ago. So, as opposed to Paul Jackson, well, they're actually roughly similar there in a way. So, yeah, very interesting to see how this works.
So, Billy, here's a bit of interesting facts. Last lap, Hamish Gallagher was a 34.71. Ruben Phelps, 34.71.
There you go. Incredibly evenly matched here at Homestead Miami Speedway. We've just ticked over half race distance. And Dave Duran sitting in 13th there. We've got Kobe Jordan back in pit lane for another pit stop as well. And it's amazing how interesting strategy works in these races. You don't think about it too much. I always get to the start of the race and think, right, well, I've got 4 sets. I'm going to do this, this, and this, and just do the status quo. But if you can do something just a wee bit different, it certainly makes life a little bit more interesting, especially these long races where there's only about 20 odd cars. It can be quite difficult to try and keep it interesting, where everything's been, as JP would say, and for lack of better words, it's been quite processional so far. Looking at Paul Jackson on screen there's not a heck of a lot going on at the moment, unfortunately. Hopefully, you see a little bit of action soon. Commentator's curse is probably going to get onto someone sooner rather than later.
Yeah, look, in all honesty, you really wouldn't expect too much to be going on at this stage of the race either, as we see Will Jesberg coming into the pits. I mean, they've just gone past the halfway mark. There's still a lot of racing left to do. And I'm going to say a lot of these guys are just staying in touch with each other and waiting for that last pit stop to start racing.
Absolutely right. It's a excuse me. It's certainly a it's different. Yeah, like you say, it's going to be quiet at this time of the excuse me, at this time of at this part of the race, but yeah, it's hopefully it hots up pretty soon. Just getting a wee bit quiet here on the Western Front.
Although, if something's going to happen, I'm going to say it's going to happen within this group.
It's going to happen here. David Duran certainly battling away there with Brad Ellison and Stephen Williams and Paul Jackson and one of the Iridium Sim Sports cars in the background as well. Paul Jackson, 231 there in 6th place, and Stephen Williams still running it up high as well. Lap 89 of 166 here at Homestead Miami Speedway, and we're just looking at back to the leader here, Hamish Gallagher, who's got quite the gap over Raymond Jaeger, 3.3 seconds, 3.36 hovering around there at the moment, and Ruben Phelps is 7 seconds behind 11 seconds behind the leader as well. So quite the gap there from the leader back to the man that he was challenging earlier on in the piece, but it looks like Phelps may be making up just a small amount of time as the laps tick by.
Yeah, Phelps.
What's your thoughts on that?
Phelps is currently faster than Jaeger. Hamish Gallagher has the pace of the field at this stage. By last stop's rationale, I would say Raymond Jaeger is going to be in somewhere between 109, 111 laps. So he'll be in before the rest of them, and then of course with Gallagher and Phelps, they're going to be in somewhere around that 120, 124 mark.
Absolutely right. It's you're good with the stats there, JP. I love that. I'm not probably a wee bit too tired for the stats at the moment. Coming up 10:30 here in New Zealand, and lap 91 of 166, and things still ticking along quite nicely. We head back to Scott McClintock in 9th place, number 16 entry.
We see Stephen Williams is in the pits now.
There we go. Steve Williams in pit lane. And, well, that's a very different strategy. 70 odd laps. So, if it was Stephen Williams that was in pit lane, so he's just pitted. Interesting. He hasn't got a lap down though, which is good. There he is right there, so he's just popped out. So it's very interesting to see what that's all about.
Yeah, right at this stage, everyone's just... look at that. Everyone's just sort of jockeying for position. So very interesting to see where Williams sort of pops out after the last of the stops.
Absolutely. Could be quite the contender too, I think. Dave Durand there battling away. Whoa! That looked a little bit dodgy. Managed to save it.
Yeah, he looked a little bit skatey there, so...
he did. I wonder if he maybe got a touch from Stephen, or just got a little bit loose, perhaps, trying to get out of the way.
Quite possible, yeah. Life goes on though, so race on.
Absolutely. Race on, they say. And Scott McClintock we can see in the background there as well. Jeez! Dave Durand touching the wall on the way into turn 3 there. That almost looked like he was going drifting style there. Sprint car style, just throwing it in. A bit of damage to the car there as well, by the looks of it.
Yeah, he's carrying a little bit of damage, but there's one thing you can say about Dave Durand: his driving style is always flamboyant.
See if he does it again. No, not quite.
I think one's bit quite shy there.
So maybe that's... we said he looked skatey on the way into that corner before when Steve Williams went past him, but I think maybe it was intentional more than anything. So side by side with Scott McClintock now, and this is for position, I believe. And McClintock gets the job done as they head down the front straight. These guys won't know themselves if they get a yellow flag period.
But looky here, Hamish Gallagher's right here saying, "I'm here, guys, get out the way.
I'm leading this race. Move." And I think they've made a wee bit of space for him too, which is good.
Now I'm going to call critical lap at about 116. At that point, they should be able to make it home on one full tank of fuel, as long as it's all green.
That's about what I was thinking. Lap be between lap 115 and 120, I'd say. Be surprised if it's any later, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if it's any earlier.
With the pace that Gallagher and Phelps have been showing tonight, we might see them run their tank all the way out.
That's right. Run it all the way out, and then pit as late as possible, and then just grab the bull by the horns and start boogieing. Pretty late on the piece, which will make for some very interesting racing as we're at lap 100 of 166. Still 66 to go.
And at this stage, Phelps is just eking away at that lead that Jaeger has on him. The last lap there by Jaeger was a 35.45. Phelps was a 35.19.
There you go. So, as JP said, just inking away a wee bit.
At this stage for the guys, it's just, I think it's just circulate, keep banking
Absolutely.
those clean laps, and get in for that last stop, and then head down, tail up, and time to really rip the band-aid off and go for it.
That's right. Certainly a wee bit quiet at the moment, but you'd hope that well, even just a yellow flag would come soon, just to try and spice things up a wee bit.
100%. You don't want to wish ill on anyone on track, but geez, a caution period would be very tasty right about now.
It would be very, very tasty right about now. 102 laps in, and there's not a lot happening, unfortunately. Oh. Have we had a retirement? Greg Spencer's dropping all the way to the back. What's happened there?
Looks like he's coming. Is he coming out? Oh, yes, he's coming out.
Yeah, he is. Okay, I just saw on the live timing it said that he was out, so maybe that was exiting pit lane. I'm not sure, but that was an interesting one.
So this is interesting. So these guys who are stopping now, they're still going to have to come in for a splash to finish off their race.
That's right. Wouldn't be surprised if they take right sides only as well at the same time, because you'll be covered by the field perhaps. Darren McKenzie, oh dear, not the race for him to remember. 14th at this point in time. That could change, obviously. And he's got Michael Shaw just in front of him.
Looks like he's carrying a tiny bit of damage as well on his car.
Oh. Here comes Greg Spencer. So that's another position loss for Darren McKenzie.
Those fresh tyres really make
Oh,
a
they
difference.
always work wonders. We're nearing on 60 laps to go as we look at Kobe Jordan running around the back for majority of the night. And just playing a very passive strategy. And I might jump on board with Kobe Jordan. Be interesting to get an onboard shot, see how his car's handling. Looks like it's not running too bad. He's got a wee bit of offset there, and he'll have some ratio in it as well to make life a little bit easier. So he's got quite a bit of steering input. He's got a lot of steering input, in fact. So I'd say that he's probably nearing another pit stop as well. We've got his brother-in-law Will Jesberg just behind him too. So I'd say that we're getting pretty darn close to pit stop time for Kobe Jordan as he makes his way through turns 3 and 4.
This is interesting. Kobe's already had 2 stops, so his last stop was on lap 82.
So he'd be looking at another sort of 15 laps or so if he was to pit again, and then that would probably take him right through towards the end, but he might stretch it out a wee bit.
If I was Kobe and I was having issues with the tyres, I'd probably go to about lap 116, 118 and then bring it in.
Yeah, that's another good point.
Let's make the comparison here with Hamish Gallagher and see how he's going from the cockpit.
Hamish Gallagher now, we're just looking and his handling looking a little bit more comfortable as opposed to the others around him. And just coming up to lap, is that Brad Ellison in front of him? I
I
think it
think that actually might
is.
be.
Just going underneath Adam Ariel there, sorry, Dylan Davies there, and I think that is Brad Ellison just in front of him. That I think he's getting very close to lapping. So interesting to see how this one goes. Hmm. Very very processional race thus far. Not a heck of a lot happening. And everyone's been lapped all the way up to seventh place.
Yeah,
Oh, JP.
it's very well, like you said, it's very processional. But hats off to these guys for I guess for the clean racing. No one's really done
100%.
anything silly tonight. Everyone's just sort of driven, I guess, driven within their limits.
Absolutely. Aiden Schultz in pit lane now.
That's going to be a big ask for him to finish the race where he is, but he obviously thinks he's got enough fuel.
Absolutely right. I wonder if he is looking at a splash towards the end, perhaps. And Mark Smith in pit lane as well. So we're starting to see them cycle through again.
And once again, you know, he's some real smart driving by Gallagher. He saw that car coming. He knew that he was catching him, that he had better tyres, and he just took the high side and let him go.
Absolutely.
No need to argue with him. He's not racing him.
Wow, everyone's lapped up to third.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, here we go.
Nothing processional about that. The benefit of the new tyres there. Now, I'm going to say that Schultz knows that he's going to have enough fuel to finish off the race at 111 laps.
He would know, absolutely.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't make sense coming in and then having to do a splash, unless, of course, he took his first stop too early. But from my calculations, at this stage, Gallagher should be able to come in, fill up, and run to the end here. I'd say he's going to stay out as long as Phelps stays out. He'll stay out.
Absolutely right.
Or not. Let's have a look. Does Phelps react? No.
He's carried on. So Gallagher's in.
Now,
and
how long does he carry on for? Because this will be absolutely telling come the tail end of the race, because Phelps might have better tyres. Gallagher's out in third, Jaeger's in, and Phelps is in.
here we go. They've all come in a gaggle. Oh, goodness me. It's heating up.
And there we go. Gallagher to the lead. Williams now in second.
We did say that Steve Williams would be coming back up towards the...
Now, has something happened in the pits there? I saw a lot of smoke in the pits. I don't know if there was anything going on there.
It's just a wee bit of a burnout to warm up the tyres.
Bit of over exuberance there leaving the pit box. Now look at the lead that Gallagher has on Williams. Now Williams still needs to pit because his last pit stop was on lap 90.
We'd definitely be looking at pitting then.
And effectively he's now being monstered by Jaeger.
Look at the timing. Yep, big time.
And Phelps will buy into this very quickly as well.
100% he will. So Gallagher, quite the gap.
At the minute, Gallagher's he's marched away to a 15-second gap on Jaeger, who then has roughly a 2-second gap on Phelps.
It'll become so jumbled. There's Phelps. He's fourth, so he's sort of back into the mix a wee bit.
Now this is, I think this is where they start to turn the wick up.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to Stephen Williams here, having not pitted since lap 90. Of course, Gallagher pitted 115, Jaeger 116, Phelps 16 as well. Schultz, he pitted 110.
Here we go.
That's okay. There it is. Williams and Phelps alongside each other. And Phelps manages to pull in front. Now Williams wants to chop back down to the inside and manages to, well, okay, not sure what happened there.
I just think,
I
I think with those older tyres there, Williams just could not make that move stick.
Absolutely right. $123 of 166, so we've got 43 to go. And fingers crossed the wick gets turned up a wee bit here.
Come on, folks, join us. Will a caution period? I don't know. I don't want to see. Look, we don't want to see anyone crash out, but a caution would just bunch the field right up, and would make things very interesting.
Absolutely right. You almost want to throw a competition caution, don't you?
I do have admin rights, but no, I wouldn't do that to them.
Far out.
I don't even want to imagine what would happen.
We'd hear about it, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
We'd certainly know about it.
Now, Phelps being caught behind slower traffic really has played into the hands of Jaeger, because he's about almost 6 seconds clear of Phelps now, and he's sort of turned up the wick as well. Gallagher's at the 32.92 last lap. Jaeger a 33 flat, 33.17 by Phelps.
There you go. Look at the lead that Gallagher's got, though. That's insane.
Right about now, really, and we said it last week. It's Gallagher's race to lose now. With that kind of a gap. However, look, sometimes when you get those monster gaps, your mind can wander. You just lose concentration for a minute, and 14 seconds, 15 seconds sounds like a lot, but not when you spin out.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
The one thing Hamish is good at, though, is concentrating, and he's, he's no slouch to these. He's a bit of a veteran at these sorts of races, so you can count on him bringing it home.
Absolutely.
Steve Williams has just dropped another spot there to Aidan Schultz. So
He's starting to struggle a wee bit, perhaps.
yeah, he's starting to feel those older tyres.
Without a doubt now.
Now we've just had an interesting. Somebody's just asked us what's happened to Kobe. He's dropped down a lot of places behind his teammate. Look, Kobe's had 3 pit stops tonight, so everybody so far has done 2 stops. I think Kobe might have gone in for his first stop a little bit too early, so it's kind of worked against him for this race.
It's me watching the stream in the background. That's no good. Certainly, yeah, pitted a wee bit early, I would say. But hey, look, you can only do so much with when it comes down to experience and learning how to handle the car when they've got tyres that have gone away, or making the tyres last long and making the fuel last long. Like you look at Hamish Gallagher and how long he made it last in comparison to how often these guys are making them last. It's insane.
Yeah, 100%. And Kobe's car's looking a little second-hand. I think he might have a little bit of damage. He may have got a slight bit of damage early on in the piece, and was able to bring it into the pits for some quick repairs. So that also might be the reason why he's a little on the slow side tonight.
Absolutely, you can see a wee bit of damage there, just on the left-hand side, I think, as we cut back to our leader, Hamish Gallagher. And leading the way by, well, I'd say quite a significant gap. Let's have a look at the live timing here. Yep, still 13.6. So the gap is slowing down a wee bit, but not entirely. We've got 35 to go here at Homestead Miami Speedway, and I mean, still a long way to go when you think about it.
A lot of laps.
Yeah, a lot of laps, that's right.
I just get the impression that Hamish, Hamish is a smart racer. He knows that he's got a handy lead. He can button it off a little bit, a tenth here and there. He doesn't need to take any unnecessary risks. And as you can see, I think that could be Dylan Davies trying to come back at him. I don't think he's going to argue the point if Dylan does.
Absolutely right. I think he'll probably just happily let him go. He's got Michael Shaw just in front of him there, who's a couple laps behind down in 15th. So he'll be probably just making his way past, maybe. Probably just a bit quicker than Shawry, I'd say. So there he goes. Yep, makes his way by. Still 13.6. Down to all the way back to second place car, Raymond Yeager.
Yeah, so he's thrown the challenge out and said, "Come and get me if you want it, guys." But they're the ones who are going to have to do all the work if they want to catch up to him.
That's right. They're going to have to do quite some work, without a doubt. So 32 to go here at Homestead Miami Speedway. We're going to crank up the volume for a couple of laps. We'll jump on board with our leader. That is Hamish Gallagher.
Oh, hang on a second. We could have a caution here. We're just going to go to a replay real quick.
Go to a replay. So, simsnap.com iRacing Photography, and it's Will Jesberg. Or is it?
Here?
Oh, no. Oh. No.
Oh, no.
Oh. All that hard work.
He's been able to extract himself out of the barrier there, but has that caused a caution? No, it hasn't.
No caution. Jeez. Just when we thought it would happen.
I got all excited there. I thought, game on.
Oh, far out. Alrighty, well, so we'll give that another go. Jump on board with our leader, Hamish Gallagher, and pump up the volume here at Homestead Miami Speedway. And we'll be back with you very soon. All right, welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway, lap 140 of 166. Things still looking quite processional here at Homestead Miami Speedway, but Hamish Gallagher chopping through the pack and just making his way past Paul Jackson in the Aotearoa Racing 231 there. And JP, we were just saying in the break, cautions would be lovely, but that usually happens when Gallagher's out front, just takes the lead, runs away with it.
Yeah, 100%. I felt a little bit ripped off there that we didn't get a caution period there with Paul Will Jesberg finding the barrier there at the pit entry, but life goes on. Oh, look at this. Hang on. What's going on? Oh, I think that was Aiden Schultz there. Just had a moment.
Let's see if we can get a replay of that one. Geez, that was close. Simsnap.com iRacing Photography replay shows us this. So he's coming around 1 and 2, running it up high, and he knows that Hamish Gallagher's coming. So... oh, what's going on here? Oh, it just touched the wall. That must have been a lapse in concentration.
A little bit of wall there.
Oh, mate. Little bit of wall. Catch you later. That's unfortunate. But I think he managed to keep his position.
Yeah, he hasn't lost his position. However, that's probably going to affect the car. So is he going to lose a position?
quite the possibility if we see where he is.
Paul Jackson's all over him.
He is too, yeah. So yeah, the gap's not a heck of a lot there. Hmm. 23 to go.
We might stay with these two for a little while. It seems to be the only matchup on track at this stage.
And it happens to be Toyota versus Toyota.
Aiden seems to have Paul's measure, so we'll see what happens.
He's just recovered quite nicely. Oh, here we go. This is heating up.
Here we
So
go.
Jackson gets past again.
He just looks like he had that better run out of that lower line.
Absolutely. Jackson knows what he's doing. He's been around for a while. Bearing in mind, they've got the race leader just in front of them.
Schultz is certainly, he hasn't given up though. He takes that high line and just gets that nice drop in, but it looks like that lower line's working a little bit better.
Absolutely right. I believe that Hamish Gallagher's lapped all the way up to 4th place. That's shocking.
He's just checked out tonight. He's in another postcode.
He's off to Grandma's place. That's what you could call it.
Oh, another close call there for Schultz. I think maybe that other hit, he started to put a bit of heat in the tyres there, and it's now showing.
Oh, I'd put money on that JP. I'd say that we're starting to see those mistakes creeping in, and it's incredibly easy done. Looking at Scott McClintock on screen here, sitting in 10th place. Oh, can you believe it? Here we go. Oh, no, it's not position. So Rupert Phelps just lapping Mark Johansson there.
Yeah, a couple of nice looking cars there by the Snafu
absolutely.
guys.
Yeah, they are really nice looking cars. That's why I went to Scott and said, hey, look, can I race for you? Your cars look good.
Ooh. Looks like a little moment there by Mark.
Concentration be starting to wear a wee bit thin, I would say.
Nice camera angles here, courtesy of track cams for gourmets.
Gorgeous angles. It's Brad Allison. Oh, aren't they just cool? Looking down the safer barriers, seeing the cars just roar down the straight at such speed. Ah, yes. A lovely onboard shot of our leader, Hamish Gallagher. He makes his way through turns 3 and 4.
He's really had a flawless race tonight.
Oh, unreal. Absolutely unreal. You can't really put it into words, can you? That back shot looks absolutely fantastic.
He's made it look easy, but I can tell you from experience, muscling these cars for 166 laps is anything but easy.
Without stopping as well. So 12 to go here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Stephen Williams in 9th place. He's a lap down.
Looks like he's looking to make a move on Paul Grady here.
So that is for position. Paul Grady and Stephen Williams. Inside the top 10. Dylan Davies is just pitted there by the looks of it. There he goes. There goes Stephen Williams around the outside.
So Stephen Williams having the advantage of fresher tyres there. He just had a stop at lap 130.
You'd be interested to know as well is that Will Jesberg has actually only dropped 3 laps after that incident that he had. So was obviously lucky to get away with minimal damage.
Not a very aerodynamic looking car at the minute.
No, absolutely not. He gets passed by Mark Smith there. But you got to improvise with these things, don't you?
100%. And a testament to Will, you know, staying out there, I guess, under arduous conditions, because that car would not be feeling the nicest right about now.
100%. Absolutely. Be a handful to drive, and there's our leader with 10 to go. Heading past Will Jesberg, Hamish Gallagher.
Ooh, looks like Adam's suffering from almost the same fate as Will, but it's at the back of the car.
A little bit of damage there for Adam Ariel, yep. So 158, we've got 8 to go.
As you can see,
Which is always exciting.
As he comes around there, you can see he's
Oh,
he's
wow.
missing part of the rear end of the car there.
Yep.
I think they've turned it into a coupe.
Yeah, forget NASCAR, NAS Coupe. So Adam Ariel there, 18th place.
Stephen Williams is going to make short work of unlapping himself there.
I was about to say that. Yep, there goes Stephen Williams. There's our championship leader, Darren McKenzie, all the way down in 13th.
Hasn't really been Darren's night, but I guess with how he has been going, he could probably afford to not have a top 5 finish. And I think pretty much most of the races he's finished in the top 5.
Oh, absolutely. We had a very strong last week's showing. Bit of a shame to see, but I mean, at least he's got a 100-point gap, for goodness sakes. I'd say he's probably not at risk of losing the championship lead, but
At this
I'd
stage,
say we thought it was going to hot up quite nicely. It sort of chilled out a wee bit.
yeah. Look, I mean, once again, a credit to these guys. You know, they've been able to circulate well at this stage 162 laps without a caution period, which is fantastic for them. Not so flash for us because a caution period would have bunched up the field nicely and really set the cat amongst the pigeons, so to speak. But you can see here, Ruben Phelps in third place with Raymond Yeager now with a significant lead in second place. All they need to do is to maintain. But Hamish Gallagher, yeah, he's checked out. He's got a 16-second gap on Raymond there.
There's no. I don't think there's going to be any change to what's happening up the front here.
No, not at all. And you can see the movers and shakers there tonight. I mean, Hamish Gallagher's not done too badly. He's come up 6 places to be in first. Raymond Yeager 4 places there. Paul Jackson moved up 9 places there to be in 5th place. And then down the order, you've got Scott McClintock that moved up 8 places in 10th. Greg Spencer 6 to be in 11th. And Michael Shaw 6 to be in 14th. But unfortunately, Dave Durant there dropped 14 places now, currently in 19th place. So it's not been Dave's night.
No, absolutely not. Well, Hamish Gallagher has been absolutely clinical tonight here at Homestead Miami. He's got a couple to go now. And the steely-eyed focus.
Hamish Gallagher, steely-eyed missile man.
Yep, that's the one. Wearing the suit as well. It's amazing how creative you can get with the suits on iRacing. Just making his way through lap traffic, and he's gonna receive the white flag this time by, and he's gonna have 1 to go. It's been absolutely clinical all race long, and out here showing us how it's done. Hamish Gallagher, just absolutely unreal. Rounds turn 4. The number 13 with Taylor Swift on the side is shaking it off big time tonight. Hamish Gallagher gets the job done at Homestead Miami Speedway after an absolutely clinical race, lapping everyone all the way up to 4th place. And coming home in second will be Raymond Yeager, after an interesting battle early on as well. But Hamish Gallagher, a huge congratulations to that man after a clinical race. He's all the way by himself down in that channel there, so I'm gonna drag him up here and get a word with him while he does some burnouts on the main straight. Hamish Gallagher, mate, what a performance that was. How sore are you? 166 laps straight. What a performance. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Good race to keep it green like that. Probably wasn't the most interesting race for you guys to watch, but it was, yeah, no, it was good fun.
Good stuff. And of course, obviously, going a 1-2 there with Raymond as well. Looks like you guys have got a new partnership going quite well already.
Yeah, it's going to be iRacing history, I think.
That's absolutely good stuff, mate. Obviously, couldn't do it without all your sponsors and everything like that, mate. Who'd you like to say thanks to?
Yep, big thanks to my team, Josh, Jason, Dan, Bob King from BK Designs, and you guys for putting the broadcast on, and Mark and the admin for putting the league on. It's always good fun running these races when I can.
Awesome. Good stuff. We certainly appreciate your attendance. Thank you very much, Hamish. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Raymond Yeager, second place tonight behind Hamish Gallagher. Raymond, congratulations, second place. Obviously, hard work for you guys. Probably wasn't the most interesting race from our perspective, but a hard, long one. Well done.
Yeah, mate. Hamish just checked out, eh? He was long gone waiting.
He was in a different area code, as JP would call it. But yeah, no, congratulations on second place, mate. That must be a pretty good feeling coming back.
Yeah, cheers, mate. It was good. Made a bit of a strategy call on the first pit stop to sort of undercut Ruben there, and paid off. And then I went longer on the second stint. Yeah, so it worked out quite well. Pretty happy.
Stuff, mate. That's good to hear. And of course, couldn't do it without all of your sponsors, mate. Who would you like to say thanks to?
Oh, just no one at the moment, mate. Sort of running by myself. So, yeah, just thank me, I guess, for driving all right tonight for once. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, congratulations once again, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Good stuff. Alrighty. And moving on to Ruben Phelps. Congratulations, mate. P3. That was a long, hard race, but you fought well. Good work.
Yeah. Thanks, Billy.
And of course, big strategy calls in that one.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in the second and third one, but it just was a bit off for some reason. And of course, I lost the position to Raymond, which I could never make up. So I just sort of had to make do with what I had and stick with the third, I guess.
Absolutely right. Of course, couldn't do without the sponsors, the new team, mate. You've put on a pretty good show for them over the past couple of weeks. Who'd you like to say thanks to?
Got to thank Brett Douglas, who's the owner, and Chris Purnell, who runs in the team, and of course Aiden for being a teammate, but of course all to Crank Esport for allowing me to be a part of it. Got to thank Virtual Motorsport Mentor as a sponsor, iRace Designs, and of course Mum. Say hello to Mum because she's always there watching somewhere.
Good
and
stuff.
and Mark there for hosting Weekend Warriors for the league.
Awesome. Good
Of
stuff.
course, JP Shimshed for the broadcast.
Oh, of course, couldn't do without him.
Oh no.
Awesome. Alrighty. Well, look, thanks for your time there, Rubes, and congratulations on second place again, and third place. Sorry, and we'll catch up with you next week, I would say.
Thanks.
Awesome. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Ruben Phelps. Well, JP, that was a processional race, as we could probably call it, but again, very successful. We'll just go over those race results once again if they are available. And just reiterate to everyone how we got there. So Hamish Gallagher came home with your win. Raymond Yeager second, Phelps in third. Then we had Smith, Jackson, Schultz, Allison, Williams, McClintock, and Drady. Over the page, 11th through 20th, Spencer, Johansson, Mackenzie, Shaw, Jordan, Yesberg, Davies, Ariel, Durant, and Jacobs rounding out the field. So JP, heading on to championship points as well. Darren McKenzie further extends the lead at the top there. He's now over 100 points clear of Dave Durand. Dave Durand actually finishing pretty low there. So Darren doing a very good job there. We go back to Paul Jackson, who's in third. Dylan Davies in fourth. Steve Williams has moved up to fifth because JCW wasn't present tonight. Phelps has moved up a wee bit. We got Barry Neal in eighth, Adam Ariel in ninth, and Scott McClintock in 10th. And then over the page, Mark Johansson has dropped off the top 10. We've got Greg Spencer, Tristan Koch, Mark Smith, Nigel Payton, Jamie Nankervis, Hamish Gallagher moved into the top 20 and up further. Kobe Jordan, Raymond Yeager, and Reese May rounding out your top 20. 21 through 30, we got Donnelly, Legg, Payton, Allison, Skurlock, Schroeder, Anastakis, Jesberg, Jacobs, and Douglas. And then your final 10 there, 31 through 40. Wellman, Schultz, Aguilera, Bates, Tomlin, Shaw, Stove, Gagliardi, Belitho, Marwood, and Davison. JP, ending the week for SimShed Broadcasting. What have we got coming up this week on SimShed Broadcasting?
of course, Tuesday night, we've got round 2 of the RSRA Super Series. So the V8s will be visiting Watkins Glen on Tuesday night. Then we back that up on Wednesday night with the RSRA Super 2 E-Series, both of them kicking off at 8:20 p.m. And of course, then on Saturday, as usual, the Weekend Warriors Cup Car Racing. So looking forward to another weekend of Cup Car Racing on Simshed Broadcasting.
Fantastic. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure to host you once again. And keep an eye out over social over the next couple of days. I'm sure we'll have an announcement as to what's going on, whether I'll be jumping back in the seat or not anytime soon. But thank you very much for having us, and thanks for joining us on this lovely Sunday evening. We're getting a little bit late here in New Zealand, coming up 11:30. So we will catch you next week, during the week, of course, for the Super Series, and next week here for Weekend Warriors Cup Car Racing. Until then, from myself, Billy Hickey, and JP Courier, it's bye for now.